Hello, good evening, and once again, a warm welcome to all of you. Today's story carries a touch of mystery. Some might even call it a surprise. And now it's time to reveal what it's all about. This particular topic has been the subject of much discussion for quite a while, but it needed a bit more research and deeper understanding before it could be shared with you today. Today's story is about a princess whose wedding was watched live by around 750 million people across the globe. And when she passed away, over 2.5 billion people witnessed her final farewell. Her life captured the attention of the entire world. 750 million watched her begin a new chapter, and 2.5 billion mourned her end. It's said that no other princess in this century has reached such iconic status. She wasn't just known for her beauty, which mesmerized everyone wherever she went, but also for her impeccable style and grace. Beyond that, her dedication to humanitarian causes made her even more beloved. And of course, her often controversial and highly publicized relationship with the royal family kept her constantly in the spotlight. I'm talking about Lady Diana of Wales, the beloved Princess Diana of Britain, whose life, especially after her marriage to the future King Charles, remained constantly in the public eye. From the moment she became part of the royal family, she was headline news. Her fairy tale wedding, her struggles within the royal household, and eventually her separation from Prince Charles all kept her in spotlight. Her complex relationship with Queen Elizabeth was also widely discussed, and in her final days, her companionship with Dodi Al-Fayed drew significant media attention. Even her tragic death raised countless questions and controversies that continue to stir debate to this day. So this is the story, one that has everything you'd expect from the life of a princess, and the entire world watched it unfold with fascination. When Lady Diana of Wales eventually became Britain's princess, her journey truly began. Let's start from the very beginning. It was in 1977 that Prince Charles first met Lady Diana. The meeting happened at a party hosted by Diana's older sister, Lady Sarah, where Charles was also present. And according to many accounts, it was during that very first encounter that Prince Charles found himself drawn to Diana. Some say he even fell for her right then. After that first meeting, Diana was invited to spend a week as a guest of Prince Charles, and soon their growing connection became the talk of Britain. The media was abuzz with speculation about their relationship, and their love story quickly made headlines across England. Eventually, after 4 years, on 29th July 1981, Prince Charles and Lady Diana were married in a grand royal ceremony. At the time of the wedding, Diana was just 20 years old, while Charles was 13 years her senior. The world was captivated, not only by their romance but also by Diana's charm and beauty, and the wedding became a global event, with around 750 million people tuning in to watch the ceremony live on television. After the wedding, everything seemed to be going smoothly, but Princess Diana began to break away from royal traditions, especially through her active involvement in charity work. She devoted herself to causes that were often avoided by others, such as supporting AIDS patients and helping communities in African nations and elsewhere, which gradually created tension between her and Queen Elizabeth. Despite this growing strain, things still appeared stable between Diana and Charles for a while. On 21st June 1982, the couple welcomed their first son, Prince William, and 2 years later, on 15 September 1984, their second son, Prince Harry, was born, making Charles and Diana the proud parents of two future figures in the royal family. It is believed that after the birth of Prince Harry in 1984, their relationship began to show signs of strain within a year or so. The core reason behind this growing distance was a clash of values and expectations, particularly with royal traditions. Queen Elizabeth expected Diana to adhere to long-standing royal customs, but Diana had a more independent mindset and wasn't comfortable living within such rigid boundaries. Her global popularity and free-spirited nature often put her at odds with the royal family's reserved image. This growing tension eventually led to an emotional separation between Diana and Charles around 1987 or 1988, although it wasn't made official at the time, largely because the situation had become quite complex and sensitive. There's a princess, and she's the mother of two young princes, William and Harry, one of whom is destined to be king one day, and that mother is Diana. But things took a serious turn in December 1992 when, for the first time, the separation of Prince Charles and Princess Diana was officially announced, not by Buckingham Palace or Queen Elizabeth, but surprisingly by the British Prime Minister John Major. This marked the beginning of a new chapter, as the private turmoil within the royal household became a matter of public record. Eventually, on 28 August 1996, their separation was finalized, and Princess Diana and Prince Charles were officially divorced, making their split permanent in the eyes of the world. After the separation, it's said that Princess Diana began to carve out her own identity, independent of the royal family, and her presence continued to command global attention. Meanwhile, their two sons, William and Harry, were growing up in the public eye. Around this time, reports started surfacing about Prince Charles being romantically involved elsewhere, sparking widespread media interest. On the other hand, Princess Diana also found herself in the headlines, not just for her charitable work or public appearances, but also for the growing curiosity around her personal life and her relationship with her children. Around this time, Princess Diana's growing closeness with Dodi Al Fayed, the son of Egyptian billionaire Mohammed Al Fayed, began attracting widespread media attention. What started as a friendship soon turned into speculation about a romantic relationship, and rumors even surfaced that the two were planning to get married. This new chapter in Diana's life quickly became a global sensation, and with it came tension behind the scenes, as the British royal family was reportedly deeply unsettled by the idea of such a high-profile relationship, especially involving someone outside traditional royal circles. Now, what happened next I'll explain after a brief pause. On 31st August 1997, Lady Diana, Princess Diana, arrived in Paris, officially traveling 5 years after her separation. Alongside her was her boyfriend and close companion, Dodi Al Fayed. The two checked into a hotel in the city that same day. Later that evening, they left the hotel together in a Mercedes S280. With them in the car were Diana's bodyguard, Trevor Rees-Jones, and the driver, Henri Paul. The four set off from the hotel and first headed toward the Eiffel Tower. After visiting the Eiffel Tower, it was already late at night when they left the area. By that time, word had spread that Princess Diana was in Paris. As a result, paparazzi, known for relentlessly chasing high-profile figures, caught wind of her location. Many photographers quickly began following Diana's car, determined to capture every moment as she moved through the city. As the photographers continued to follow, the driver, Henri Paul, sped up, trying to lose them, but the paparazzi were relentless and kept pace. They entered the Pont de l'Alma tunnel in Paris, where the car maintained a high speed, hoping to shake off the pursuers. However, inside the tunnel, the car suddenly lost control, its balance disrupted by the speed, and crashed into a pillar. Passers-by nearby quickly called the police and emergency services. Tragically, this devastating accident ultimately led to Princess Diana's death. The next day, the shocking news dominated newspapers and TV channels worldwide, leaving everyone stunned and struggling to understand how such a tragedy could have happened so suddenly. In the immediate aftermath, an investigation was launched to uncover the truth. One of the first findings revealed that Henri Paul, the driver, had consumed a significant amount of alcohol. Reports varied, with some stating he had drunk the equivalent of 8 packs, while others suggested around 6. Either way, it far exceeded the legal limit under French law, raising questions about the circumstances that led to the crash. It was concluded that because the driver was intoxicated, he was driving at a dangerously high speed, lost control of the car, and caused the fatal crash. In the accident, both the driver and Dodi Al Fayed lost their lives, along with Princess Diana. Only the bodyguard survived. Following this tragedy, investigations were launched, with French police initially taking charge, later joined by British authorities. A jury of 11 was formed to look into the case, but despite the official inquiry, many questions and suspicions about the circumstances surrounding the crash continued to linger. 10 years later, the original report blamed the accident on the driver's negligence, which led to Princess Diana's tragic death. However, many doubts and unanswered questions remained. Because of this, a special commission was formed, consisting of 11 jury members, to thoroughly investigate the case. The entire inquiry took a decade to complete, as they carefully examined every detail surrounding the incident. Over the course of those 10 years, the jury traveled to countries like France, Nigeria, Kenya, and Australia, interviewing around 250 witnesses connected to the case in various ways. They spoke with hotel staff, questioned paparazzi involved in the chase, and gathered statements from everyday travelers who happened to be near the tunnel at the time of the crash. The fire brigade and ambulance teams who arrived first at the scene were also interviewed. This extensive investigation, involving hundreds of witnesses and painstaking research, ultimately cost around $20 million and took a full decade to complete. After a decade of investigation, the commission finally delivered its verdict. The French authorities maintained that within 24 hours of the crash, it was clear Princess Diana's death was a tragic road accident caused by a drunk driver who lost control of the car due to excessive speed. This official conclusion came in 2007-2008, 10 years after the incident. However, from the very beginning, Dodi Al-Fayed's father insisted this was no accident. He repeatedly claimed it was a murder and accused the British royal family and intelligence agency MI6 of being involved in a deliberate plot. Even after the commission released its report 10 years later, Mohammed Al-Fayed refused to accept its findings, dismissing it as a cover-up and expressing disbelief in the official version. Despite his claims, the commission's report, along with the investigations by French authorities and British police, all concluded that Princess Diana's death was a tragic accident with no evidence of any conspiracy involved. This sums up the full story behind the official explanations and the ongoing doubts surrounding the case. But if everything was really as straightforward as the official report said, why have questions and doubts persisted for so many years, even as recently as 2016 and 2017 in Britain? People kept asking why there were so many uncertainties surrounding her death and what possible motives anyone could have had. Over time, various theories began to emerge. The first theory claims that Princess Diana's death was no accident at all, but rather a conspiracy orchestrated by her own family, the British royal family. So what was the reason behind this alleged conspiracy, and who was involved? The theory points to the British royal family as the conspirators. The motive, according to this claim, was Princess Diana's relationship with Dodi Al-Fayed, which had become a major media sensation. Rumors circulated that when they traveled to Paris on 31st August 1997, Diana was pregnant with Dodi's child, and the couple was planning to marry. This, supporters of the theory argue, threatened the royal family's reputation and was the reason behind a possible plot against her. To celebrate their happiness, Diana and Dodi met in Paris, but this news somehow leaked out. According to the theory, the British royal family strongly disapproved of the idea that Diana, the mother of future Princes William and Harry, was planning to marry a Muslim. They feared that such a marriage would damage the royal family's image and reputation, and they were determined to prevent it from happening. And that's why, to protect the dignity of the royal family, it became necessary to stop Diana, according to this theory. It's believed that the royal family gave the green light for her elimination. This claim was repeatedly made by Mohammed Al-Fayed, Dodi Al-Fayed's father. The second part of the theory suggests that the actual operation was carried out by Britain's secret intelligence agency, MI6, which was tasked with monitoring Diana's every move. The plan was executed in such a way that it appeared to be an accident, leaving no trace of foul play. Mohammed Al-Fayed strongly maintained that MI6 played a key role in orchestrating the entire event. Another theory suggests that the driver of the car that day, Henry Paul, who was reportedly under the influence of 6 to 8 packs of alcohol, was actually an MI6 agent. This theory gained traction among conspiracy supporters. Additionally, an important detail emerged during the investigation. The Mercedes in which Diana was traveling showed traces of a white-colored Fiat Uno. Some witnesses claimed that just before the crash, The Mercedes had a brief encounter with a white Fiat Uno, and traces of white paint were found on the damaged car, raising further questions about whether another vehicle was involved in orchestrating the accident. But what's surprising is that the white Fiat Uno vanished after the accident and was never found. No one knows where it went or how it disappeared. Some claim it too was involved in a crash and then deliberately removed from the scene. This only added fuel to the theory that the incident was part of a larger plan by MI6. What further deepens the mystery is another crucial detail. The crash took place inside the Pont de l'Alma tunnel in Paris, where there were reportedly 10 CCTV cameras installed. 10 cameras, yet no clear footage of the accident was ever released. But strangely, none of the cameras captured any footage just before or after the accident. Out of a total of 14 cameras in the area, only 10 were functional at the time, yet even those 10 working cameras failed to record anything related to the crash. Despite being operational before the incident, not a single frame of the accident or its immediate aftermath was ever recovered, which only intensified the suspicions and theories surrounding the event. So the big question is, what happened to the CCTV footage? Did someone intentionally erase all the evidence? Adding to the mystery, many people who have been close to Princess Diana share that she had a strict habit of always wearing a seatbelt whenever she was in a car. It was something she even insisted others do. But on that day, when the crash happened, Diana was seated directly behind the driver, and she wasn't wearing a seatbelt. That in itself raised serious questions, because for someone known to be so cautious, why wasn't she buckled up that night? Later in the investigation, another theory emerged suggesting that the car in which Diana was traveling had been tampered with beforehand. Specifically, the seat where Diana usually sat had a deliberately damaged seatbelt, making it unusable. This raised suspicions that someone may have ensured she wouldn't be wearing one, thereby increasing the chances of fatal injury in case of an accident. These lingering doubts and unanswered questions are the reason why confusion and speculation around Diana's death continue even today, and why Dodi Al-Fayed's father still refuses to accept that it was just an accident. This remains one of the most controversial aspects of the entire case. When the accident occurred that night, the British Embassy in Paris was the first to inform Prince Charles about Diana's death. The ambassador personally conveyed the news to him, and then Prince Charles informed the rest of the royal family. However, both of Diana's children, William and Harry, were not told immediately that night. They were informed the following morning. It said that even after receiving the news of Diana's death, Queen Elizabeth continued with her scheduled royal routine, including watching a movie and attending morning prayers, without any visible change. According to a BBC report, Prince Charles himself was initially hesitant to travel to Paris to bring back Diana's body. Actually, there was an expectation that the government might handle everything, but it was Prince Charles who first informed Queen Elizabeth about Diana's death. At that time, the Queen was in Scotland and didn't return immediately. She continued with her daily routine. Eventually, Diana's body was brought back, but the royal family's initial reaction to her death was quite unexpected and appeared emotionally distant. They hadn't anticipated the overwhelming public response. Across Britain, people were deeply affected by Diana's passing. She was immensely popular and had quickly earned a special place in the hearts of millions. At that time, there was widespread anger directed at the royal family. They initially believed that since Diana was no longer part of the royal family, only a limited public mourning would take place. But the reality turned out to be the exact opposite. Wherever tributes were set up, crowds poured in, overwhelmed with grief. The public response was massive, shaking even the firmest expectations. On 31st August 1997, Diana met with a fatal accident, and just 6 days later, on 6 September 1997, her final rites were conducted. The ceremony was attended by countless VIPs from around the world. In Britain alone, 32.10 million people watched her funeral live on television, and around the world, over 2.5 billion people tuned in to witness the entire ceremony. The British royal family gravely misjudged the emotional impact Diana's death had on the public. It took them a long time to truly understand how deeply people were affected, as the nation mourned in a way that hadn't been anticipated. Perhaps the royal family's desire to maintain a traditional distance contributed to this miscalculation. And with that, this entire story traces the journey of Princess Diana from the beginning to the end. The theories and doubts I shared are still very much alive today. In fact, in 2017, an anonymous letter surfaced from someone claiming to be in the British Army, sent to a news channel, stating that his wife had confided in him that Princess Diana was murdered in a conspiracy and that she knew the full truth. However, the person who sent the letter had previously been arrested on corruption charges, which cast doubt on the credibility of the claim. Despite this, questions and suspicions continue to resurface, keeping all these theories alive and debated over time. Even though the commission took 10 years to release its findings, and both the French authorities and British police issued their reports, all concluded that Princess Diana's death was the result of a tragic car accident caused by drunk driving. They ruled out any conspiracy, stating the royal family had no involvement, and Britain's Secret Service, MI6, was not part of any wrongdoing. Despite these official conclusions, doubts and questions continue to linger. This sums up the entire story of Diana. That's the end of today's story, by the way. A big thank you to the entire The Last Clue family. That's all for today's story. We'll meet again soon with a brand new one. Until then, take care and thank you so much.